Hi, this video is about literal Daniel chapter 12, the literal fulfillment of Daniel chapter 12. And I'd like to share with you today from the book Light for the Wise. This is it, Light for the Wise by Gregory D. Lang. I'm going to be reading from this book, Light for the Wise, and I want to read from the chapter called Future Time Prophecy taught in Daniel 12. On page 15, it says, "This chapter is so simply constructed, and the undeniable validation of future time prophecy is so simply stated, that even a child can see and understand it. Daniel asked Jesus how long it would be to the end of the world. Jesus Christ directly answered Daniel's question, giving him the amount of time it would be. Daniel's question, how long to the end of time? Then I, Daniel, looked, and said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders?" Daniel 12, verse 5 and 6. In order to understand what wonders Daniel is asking about and how long it will be to their end, we must first notice the context leading into Daniel's question. What wonders had just been opened to him? And which were the last ones he heard delineated? Notice, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness, as the stars forever and ever." Daniel 12, verses 1, 2, and 3. Gabriel, beginning in chapter 11, has just given a dissertation of history from where Daniel is standing all the way to the end of the world. Daniel has seen many chaotic and unsettling events. He has also seen the closing up of the work of salvation. In the verses quoted, he now sees the great deliverance, the special resurrection, and the shining brightness of those who have been wise and those who have turned many to righteousness. It is after this, after seeing all the way to the end of time, that Daniel asks the question, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? Daniel 12, verse 6. And asking about these wonders, it is without sensible question that Daniel is asking about the wonders he was just shown. And in asking how long to the end of them, it is also plain that he is asking Christ how long it will be until the last of the things Gabriel has just described to him will come to pass. And these events, the end of these wonders, from where we stand today, are still to take place in the future. Christ answers Daniel's question by oath. So then, did Jesus Christ answer the question Daniel asked with a time prophecy? Yes. In the very next verse, not only did he answer Daniel's how long question, he swore to the amount of time involved. Notice, "And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and an half, and when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished." Daniel 12, verse 7. Christ, being the voice for the Father himself, has here taken oath that the amount of time asked about until the final deliverance, will be 3.5 years. The scattering power spoken of has been allotted this period of 3.5 years to carry forward his persecution work against God's people. And when the designated amount of time is accomplished or used up by that power, all these things, wonders Gabriel delineated to you, shall be finished. It will be the end of time. There is much more that needs to be said regarding the beginning and ending of the individual periods given in the book of Daniel and of the fulfillment of time prophecy, both past and future. These important periods we will address near the end of the book, but our purpose for now is simply to break down prejudice and show that the Bible teaches there is something more to be known on the crucial subject of time prophecy. As individuals open their minds to the Spirit of God and their ears to this basic truth, we will then be able to explain to them these thrilling last day prophecies. For Christ has here given very important information to those who are now alive and rapidly approaching the judgment of their cases. In quick summary, Gabriel gave Daniel a dissertation of history down to the end of the world. Daniel asked how long it would be to the last of the wonders he saw, and Jesus Christ answered and told him the amount of time it would be. Daniel, however, does not fully understand. Daniel asks again, "And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things?" Daniel 12, verse 8. Daniel heard Jesus answer, but openly confessed he did not understand the time given him. So he asked the same question again. The word "what" in this passage can be properly translated "how long." In addition, we are told, twice Daniel inquired, "How long shall it be to the end of time?" Testimonies to Ministers, page 114. It is worth noting that these things Daniel is asking about in his second inquiry, verse 8, are one and the same with the wonders of the first inquiry, verse 6. And the end of these things is again referring to the last of those wonders he saw, the final deliverance of God's people. The wise understand how long to the end. Responding directly to Daniel's second inquiry, Gabriel says, "The wicked will not understand how long it will be to the end of the world." He then tells Daniel in plain language that the wise will understand. Notice, "Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand." Daniel 12, verse 9 and 10. Very simple. The question was, how long to the end? The response is, the wise shall understand. The true people of God, those who are being purified, made white, and tried, will know how long it will be to their deliverance and the end of the wonders Daniel saw. The heavenly messenger is about to answer Daniel's second question with an actual amount of time. But before doing this, he is here reiterating what he had said to Daniel earlier. In verse 4, Gabriel had promised Daniel that near the end of time, knowledge would be increased to those running to and fro through the Scriptures in a diligent search to know when the time would be. Here in verse 10, he is repeating the same, telling the last generation that as the end approaches, the wise shall understand. In other words, knowledge shall be increased to the wise. Gabriel now finishes his answer, giving Daniel the figures necessary for a complete understanding. These special numbers will give the information that is needed to properly order the prophetic periods of his little book. Daniel is again given the amount of time to the deliverance and special resurrection. "And from the time that the daily shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1,335 days. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest, and stand in thy lot at the end of the days." Daniel 12, verse 11 through 13. Here we have been graciously given some additional real and tangible figures in answer to the question of how long it will be to the end of the world. The figures given are 1,290 days and 1,335 days. Two more witnesses to the point of time prophecy yet to be fulfilled. Verse 13, the last verse of the book, is plainly and literally talking about the death and resurrection of Daniel. It is a promise to Daniel that he will rest, or die, and stand, or be resurrected, in the special resurrection at the end of the days. This resurrection will happen at the end of the 1335 days. For in proper context, they are the days just spoken of. Thus, these verses continue to substantiate that the end of these wonders refers to the time when God turns the captivity of his saints. Really, the entire chapter is focusing on the time of the final deliverance of God's people. Verse 1 speaks of this deliverance. Verse 2 cites the special resurrection. Verse 3 speaks of the shining countenance of the saints at the time of deliverance. Verse 4 indicates knowledge shall be increased to those searching the scriptures to know that time. Next, Daniel asks how long it will be to this deliverance. Verse 6. And in verse 7, Christ swears to Daniel the amount of time it will be. Daniel asks the same question again in verse 8. Then in verses 9 and 10, Gabriel promises him the wise will understand how long it will be to this deliverance.